All right, well, hello everyone. My name is Andy Whiteside, and I am going to be hosting. This is our introductory podcast for the Citrix session. With me is Bill Sutton. Bill Sutton is the Director of Services for XenTegra. Bill is a very long-term Citrix guy. Bill, how long have you been in the EUC business and specifically working with Citrix products?
Since about 1998, starting on WinFrame 1.8 with a couple of customers.
Wow. Well, that actually beats me. I started in '99 with I guess it would have been WinFrame. What was?
Probably WinFrame or MetaFrame, early MetaFrame days.
Yeah, I think I was WinFrame. Which one's the one where it went from being its own product to where it became a bolt-on to Microsoft Terminal Services?
MetaFrame.
MetaFrame. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
WinFrame was the one where you got a DVD or a CD. I guess it was a CD at the time that contained both the NT351 kernel as well as the WinFrame software all bundled together. You just slapped it in and installed it, and you had a working Citrix environment.
yeah, no, that's great. Maybe at some point in this series we'll get one of the old Citrix guys on to tell us about the whole Microsoft back and forth they went through to try to get access to the code and build upon the Microsoft solution, which led to, I guess, MetaFrame from WinFrame, right?
Yeah, that would be really cool to get kind of an insider's view of that. That would be an interesting trip down memory lane.
I think there's been a lot of that's happened through the years, a couple of podcasts here and there, but it's been so long that I bet a lot of the guys involved in that are maybe not in the business anymore, or a lot of the new folks have never heard that story and how Microsoft and Citrix got together to create this partnership.
Yeah, certainly in the EUC space, I would imagine a lot of the folks that are working with the products day to day these days aren't aware of the history and where the various components all came from. The Citrix stack, the Asti HDX FAC versus RDS. Where did RDS come from? Did Microsoft invent it, or did they get it from Citrix? You and I know the answer.
Yeah.
But be interesting to convey that type of information, I think, to some of the folks that are doing it today.
Well, and I think this part of our conversation here is a good segue into the concept of this podcast. So you and I and others, we're going to invite others. We're going to go and we're going to look at Citrix blogs that come out on a weekly basis, and we're going to pick one each show, and we're going to dissect that blog, and we're going to figure out what's in it for the community, what's in it for Citrix. What the writer, the author is trying to get across, and we're even going to invite the author and see if they'll join us for this podcast. And sometimes we expect that they will, and sometimes they won't, and we'll just talk about it. But ideally, right, the person from Citrix or a Citrix partner of some type will join us, and we'll talk through what it is they were trying to get across in their blog.
Yes, exactly, and the idea being obviously to help give back to the community. Not just the blog articles, which certainly you can read for yourself, but to give the insight into what's behind those articles hopefully from the author or some other individuals that can add value to it.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I see the blogs from Citrix on a weekly basis, and I definitely read through some of them. But I think this is going to give us a quick and easy way to disseminate that information and even ask more questions, but disseminate the information to people where they can just subscribe to a podcast weekly. And that can give them a great way to gain some of this information while they're on their walk to work or riding in the train or riding in the car.
Absolutely, and obviously once we get rolling, we'll take listener feedback and questions, and we can address those perhaps on occasion.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe we take the end of each show and we address listener feedback from the previous show and try to make sure that we answer some of the questions that are spawned out of this, which I hope is a lot. I hope these podcasts really are more of a conversation between us and the community, and that the community gets a lot out of it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Andy.
So I appreciate you joining me for this, and we'll be back, and we'll have our first official episode within the next week or so. But I hope that the community sees this as a need that we're going to fill. And it's not going to be pretty. We're going to be rough about this, right? We're not going to spend a lot of time making it look pretty. We're going to spend a lot of time trying to get some of this content out and solve one of the challenges that you and I both have seen for a while, where there's just not enough Citrix content in the form of podcasts happening.
Absolutely. I agree. Looking forward to it.
All right, sir. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining, and there'll be more to come, and we look forward to working with you guys on this.
Thanks, folks. Have a good one.